Hi bloomers, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I want to say welcome to all my new patrons. Oh my god, it's been an amazing journey to receive new people and new energy over there, and I am so grateful to be working with all of you, and I so appreciate your trust in my guidance. So thank you and welcome to all of you. Just a quick disclaimer, I started a transformational month of May on my Patreon page, and I am building up a lot of scripting, a lot of prayers, a lot of exercises, and the focus is to create more clarity, purpose, and direction in your life. So the exercises are specifically to create a blueprint of your subconscious blocks and create a plan on how to solve them and clear them. This is a month for clearing blocks and stepping into alignment. And all the exercises and the channelings that I'm bringing over there are with that purpose. And then in the month of June, I will start a co-creation and manifestation program. But the month of May will just be to clear the way to manifestation. So you enter June with a whole new energy and completely ready to receive your manifestation. Okay, so if you feel guided to join me there, I'll leave a link down below. It's never too late to join. We're only on the second day. You can still catch up, or if you're listening to this later on, you can always catch up with us and take it a little bit further and journal. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it out there. If you feel guided to transform your energy during the month of May because you want to give it a boost and you want to enter summer and you want to start manifesting things in your life, come over there and join me. I would love to have you there. Okay, so today I'm just bringing you some channeled messages about the current energies. Oh my Lord, April was one hell of a month. I mean, I can speak for myself. I had to drag myself through the month of May, and then I got sick with an infection that completely knocked me down for a couple of weeks, unable to function, and it took me a while to bounce back into health. So it was a heavy energy during the month of April. There was just a lot of triggers coming up to the surface. There was like a lot of old energy, old wounds being open again, things that we felt like we have dealt with them before. Now it's just bringing everything up again, the anxiety, the jealousy, the anger, the frustration, all of those things just bubbling up to a point where it's really, really hard to navigate without stepping out of alignment, right? So I want to talk about a need to transform the inner voice that was imprinted in us while we were growing up, right? I'm still reading a bunch of books at the same time, but one of the books that I'm reading at the moment is The 4 Agreements, and it's a beautiful book. It's a wisdom book for personal freedom, and I do advise all of you to go read it. But he was talking about how we are taught in judgment and assumptions and expectations by our own parents, right? So we are raised in a mindset of punishment versus reward, and we are domesticated in punishment and reward. So we fear punishment and we fear the not receiving of a reward, right? It's the good girl, bad girl kind of thing. If you're a good girl, you get a reward, and if you're a bad girl, then you get a punishment. And we are raised in that mindset of the consequences of not being a good person. The way we look at reward growing up is that our reward is attention, validation, appraisal, appreciation. That comes from our parents and from our peers at school, our friends, society. We are raised in an environment where we look for that reward in the shape of attention and validation. So then, in the pursuit of that reward in our grown-up life, we start being who we're not just in order to get that reward, because it's almost like it's such a mind programming that you're so set to pleasing others just for the sake of getting the reward, because you don't want to be the bad guy in the equation, right? Your mindset is so programmed to look for the reward and avoid the punishment that becomes your inner voice. And pleasing others and trying to be good enough for someone else becomes a way of living, right? So we start from a very young age to develop a fear of being rejected. That becomes the fear of not being good enough. And everything else that we do from there, it's based on that. The fear of being rejected, the fear of not getting attention, the fear of not getting the reward, the fear of getting punished. And that's when we start to impact our own self-worth. We become a vessel for other people's beliefs and expectations. Basically, you become a puppet where you need to be this type of person for your parents to validate you, to appreciate you, to give you enough attention. And then you need to be this type of person with your friends, right? And that's how we grow up in our teenager years. You feel the need to do drugs to belong in a group, or you feel the need to drink to belong in a group, or you feel the need to be a certain way to belong. It's that sense of belonging, it's that sense of reward, getting attention for who you are. But the messed up part is that we go against our true nature every single time that we're trying to be someone else to please others. So we step into a place of self-rejection in order to please others. And we grow up in that self-rejection, which is completely dangerous, right? We grow up with a belief that when we do something wrong, we're going to be punished. And being punished becomes a normal step that we embrace along our journeys. And in time, we don't need those external voices to domesticate us anymore, because we have become that voice ourselves. We have become our own domesticators. So through all of those years of conditioning, our inner voice tells you that you're not good enough. And not that you're not good enough for others, but you're not good enough for yourself. Because you don't fit the model of perfection that you have designed for yourself. Or better said, that society and family has created for you. So you don't need that external voice telling you that you're not good enough. Because it's not even about you not being good enough for others. It's that you are not good enough for yourself. You are not perfect enough for yourself. You find yourself saying, I should have more money. I should have a better job. I should be skinnier. I should be exercising more. I should be in this place in my life right now. I should have gotten married already. I should have kids already. Right? And when we start that self-rejection process, we drag people along with us, because then we start blaming them for not fulfilling our desires, or at the very least, for not being part of us achieving what we want to achieve. I mean, it's a given that some people are really easy to love, and then some people, God damn it, it's not an easy process to love them. But as soon as we, or as long as we carry that voice within us, we're never going to be good enough for ourselves, let alone be good enough for others. I mean, forget about others. This is just about you being good enough for yourself and not relying on external judgment, validation, and attention and appreciation to actually give you the indication that you are indeed good enough. So when we then start a pattern of self-rejection and we initiate a cycle of external rejection, as this emotion is reflected on the outside of ourselves, obviously, and is being mirrored by our environment and people around us, we dishonor ourselves. We dishonor ourselves. We disrespect ourselves because we are portraying an image of someone that we're not. And then we trigger a never-ending cycle of people coming into our lives that don't respect us either. But it all started with you. I want to bring you back into yourself. It all started with you. It all started with you and that little voice that is telling you that you're not good enough. And again, let's remove the projection from this equation and understand that your judgment of not being good enough for others is just a mirroring of how you not feel good enough for yourself. And it started with your idea of perfection and your need to project something that you're not to others in order to please them. Maybe you did it to avoid conflict. You know, some of us were raised in violent environments and you had to be a certain way to make sure that you didn't upset the apple cart, right? To make sure that you were avoiding conflict and pleasing your parents enough to not upset them to the point of aggression. So we then grow up, and the more we pretend to be someone that we're not, the angrier and more frustration we feel about ourselves and others as well. Because we start to have this feeling of being false, being fake. We can't even be ourselves because we're so afraid of external judgment. But living in that lack of authenticity is just amplifying the lack of self-worth and therefore the lack of self-respect and therefore the lack of personal boundaries. But because we don't feel like we're perfect and we don't accept ourselves for who we are, we have a hard time accepting other people for who they are as well, and not understanding that they're going through the same process of trying to please people so they can feel good enough about themselves. But if we cannot accept other people for who they are, in the process of accepting ourselves for who we are, our actions will never be good enough for us. And the actions of other people will never be good enough for us either. Because it all starts with us. Because it's never about anyone else but us. And the frustration we're feeling about someone else or something else is just a distraction from the inner frustration that we have about ourselves. And we don't want to face it. We don't want to address it. We don't want to have to even touch it or look at it. So what the universe is really asking of us now is that we let go of the concept of perfection, which then triggers the punishment-reward cycle, right? Like I explained in the beginning. If you let go of this concept of perfection, that will just allow you to create more space for self-acceptance and therefore the acceptance of others as well. But again, I want to bring you back into your center. It starts with you. It starts with you understanding that I only need to be good enough for myself, for my own template of who I should be. I don't even need to be perfect for myself. I can accept my faults. I can accept my mistakes as being part of my humanity. I can embrace them. I can nurture them. And if I can understand them, then other people can too. And if I can understand my own, then I can understand the ones from others as well. That just opens a whole new gate for acceptance. So every time you find yourself now in these moments where you have that dark inner voice, and I posted something about anxiety today on my blog. I'll leave a link down below as well, because I struggled with anxiety my whole life, and my dark voice comes from that anxiety. I have periods, bouts of depression, and extreme panic attacks and all of that in my past. And I don't believe that anxiety ever leaves you. You just get really better at dealing with it. You come to terms with the fact that anxiety is part of your own journey, and you find ways of sitting down with it and giving it some attention, right? But there are a few things that you can question within yourself when you hear that voice. So you can release more of those limiting beliefs, right? So imagine you hear your voice says again, like, I should have a better job. I should have more money. I should be skinnier. I should be more organized. I should work harder. I should exercise more. When you hear that voice, ask yourself, why should I? Why should I? Who told me that I should? Who is this voice telling me that I should? And is this voice a source of judgment that is giving me the indication that if I do this, then I will receive a reward, and if I don't, then I'm a bad person and I will receive my punishment? Because when you look at the positive side of that question, which should be one that is in alignment with your personal well-being rather than external validation and appreciation, you can then completely shift your focus and take action on those matters without feeling like it's a sacrifice or self-punishment to do those things, right? The reason why you should exercise more is just because it makes you feel more empowered. It makes you feel more energized when you do. It makes you feel healthier. Maybe you do it outside, you connect more with nature, you feel more connected, you feel more empowered, puts you in a better mood. Right? That's the reason why you should exercise more, not because society dictated that you need to exercise this often per week. And the reason why you should have more money is because you want to be free to follow your passions, and you want to be free from financial worries. Not because it's going to make you feel safer or more successful, or recognize that someone who is thriving in life, or just because your parents need you to make more money to make themselves happy. Don't get into that slave program, because this punishment, reward, judgment kind of mentality is a slave program. It's almost like you are connected with some sort of mechanism that if you do something wrong, you get an electric shock, and if you do something right, you get a snack. You know, that's the training that we do with dogs, if you look at it. But that's a little bit how your mindset in terms of punishment and reward works. It's almost like when you do something good, you go ding 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 ding, and you expect to get a reward. And when you don't feel good about yourself, then you take everything negative into your life and you accept it as a punishment of your own mistakes, and you judge yourself for them. And you may even get to a point where you say, I deserve this because I've been a bad person. I deserve it. I deserve the punishment because I'm a bad person. But then when you receive a reward, you have a hard time accepting it and being deserving of it, because you haven't cultivated the self-worth that will take you into a place of worthiness and expectation. Let go of your image of perfection. Nobody's perfect. And we don't have to be. We don't have to be. If there are places of you that you don't find them to be so perfect, give them a little bit of humanity as you give to others, because it becomes so easy for us to not apply judgment to the people that we love. We can embrace them how they are, but then when we have to do it within ourselves, it becomes a bit tricky. But your image of perfection is what makes you reject yourself and others as well. Because neither you or them will ever be able to fit that ideal that you have designed or that your parents have designed for you. Bring it back to yourself. It all starts with you. Your feelings of not being good enough for others come from your feeling of not being good enough for yourself. Recognize where that voice, that dark voice is coming from, the one that is telling you that people don't love you, people don't appreciate you. Your voice is not important, your word is not important, your work is not important, you don't make enough money, you don't have a nice house, you don't have a perfect body, you don't have everything it takes to be in a solid relationship, you don't have this, you don't have that. Quiet that voice. Let the voice of your inner essence to come through, because that one will tell you that everything is well. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And it's not because you are not where you thought you should be now that it means that you are off track or off mission or off your path. You are always on your path. Regardless of you taking longer to get where you need to get or getting there sooner, you are always on your path. You're on your path even when you think you're not, because the moments where you're not are moments of alignment in your path again. So even the moments where you doubt what you're doing are moments of clarity and alignment that take you exactly to where you need to be. Honor that. Honor the perfection of the universe. If you can understand that the universe is perfect and source is perfect, and you come from source, you are no less perfect than source or the universe. You are an extension of source down here. There is nothing wrong with you. You are good enough. You have enough. You are enough. You're perfect just the way you are. And the moment someone will recognize that perfection within you, you will see the perfection in them as well. And until then, I hope you love yourself enough to be more human and less perfect. And I hope you find the courage to embrace what you see as faults and mistakes and embrace them as more points of clarity and alignment within your own mission. I'm going to leave it at that, but I felt that it was important to send you this message of faith and hope, and I pray that it helps you in releasing some of those limiting beliefs that might be oppressing you at the moment. And again, if you feel guided to join me on Patreon for that transformational month, I am going to leave a link down below, and I am hoping that you find the strength within you to embrace your humanity more than the pursuit of perfection. I'm sending you so much love and so much joy today, and I'm really praying that you stay safe and protected within the power of your own heart. Big love to all of you.